If Angel Reese would just make her layups and not get these forced rebounds from misses, we wouldn't have these issues in the W right now, Grant. We wouldn't have them. It'd be a league of love, not a league of hate. It's turned into a league of hate in the first couple days of the season.
Isn't it funny that doing something as simple as making a layup would have prevented a national media race war conversation about what's going on in the WNBA?
Yeah, this is this black versus white. This is Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. This is
it's the differences between men's and women's sports. It's become everything because she missed the layup.
We're getting a lot. We're weaving in a lot of different wars into the situation. Like if Angel Reese truly, if she just made layups, like we would not have these issues anymore. Like it's as simple as that. I did see that on Twitter somewhere, so I don't want to take credit for it, but that is true. Angel Reese, because she misses layups, gets extra rebounds. In turn, people shit on her. And then Caitlin Clark is the chosen one. And therefore, they're going to shit on Angel Reese more. And then they fight. And then we have these problems between Ryan Clark and Robert Griffin III. Got a lot to talk about today. But before we do that, Grant, tell the people why they need to check out WSN.com.
Yeah, on top of all the riveting social commentary that we're going to have here, we're also going to talk about, the NBA conference finals, some big bets to look forward to. So while we're talking that here, you can go to WSN.com. I just finished writing the Game 1 preview for Thunder Timberwolves. Nice 1,200 words on that. So you can go check that out. Get some of the best bets from myself, Tanner, and the team of experts at WSN. Also get yourself some promo codes, and those can be used for things like bonus bets, profit boost, anything to make your betting experience more enjoyable. So go check it out at WSN.com.
Now, we're going to talk about all that later, the Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals. But before we do that, we need to talk about Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, all this drama that's unfolded in the past few days. So first off, Grant, the biggest thing that came out of the opener between the Fever and the Chicago Sky was that Caitlin Clark put belt to ass. That was number one, like just blowout performance. And I think that's where, the negative noise started to happen because we just saw how much better Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are, and Sophie Cunningham too. We got to talk about her. There's a lot of stuff going on in the WNBA right now, Grant.
Yeah, there is. I don't know where you want to go with it. Do we want to start with Caitlin Clark? Just what she's third all time in triple doubles now, right?
That's the first thing. Before we get into the drama, let's start with that. How the hell is she third all time on the triple double? That doesn't make the league look good either. I'm sorry. Like that. Again, people are going to joke about WNBA, but that doesn't make this league look good when she's 41 games into her career and she's third on the all-time triple doubles list. I'm sorry. That's bad for the sport. She shouldn't be on that.
Well, let me jump in here. So I think that obviously Oscar Robertson was kind of the first guy to really be out there giving triple doubles. Wilt Chamberlain too, but we kind of discount. We remove Wilt from history almost just because he was such a physical outlier that it was like, it'd be like if you and me went to go play a team of middle schoolers sometimes. I would say it was Oscar Robertson, and then really until like Magic Johnson, there was no consistent triple-double guy. And obviously the NBA was around a lot sooner than the WNBA. So in some ways, I feel like you just need to give time for the league and the game to evolve. The women's game is behind the men's game just because it hasn't been around as long. So I think as time goes on, like now we have Russell Westbrook and LeBron and Jokic, and it seems like everybody can get a triple-double on their day in the NBA right now. I think there's going to be more of that in the WNBA in the coming years. I think Caitlin Clark is kind of, maybe where Russell Westbrook was. Russell Westbrook was really the guy who was like, oh, I can do this on any given night, and it doesn't matter. I don't have to be 7 feet tall. I can be a guard, and as long as I'm intelligent with what I'm doing, then I can get these triple-doubles. So, it does look weird on paper, but I also think it is somewhat natural, and Caitlin Clark might just be the person to kind of make it more mainstream.
She's going to have a monopoly on every single WNBA record in the future, and Angel Reese will have it on rebounds.
I mean, she is all jokes aside, Angel Reese, there are a lot of parts of her game that she could improve, but she is a hell of a rebounder.
She was dribbling the ball at her head. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw.
Twitter's ruthless. Okay, like everything I'm saying right now, it's just coming from Twitter, and it was pretty funny. But anyways, why? Let's start with this. Why does the league hate Caitlin Clark? I don't understand it because I know that there's a difference, she's white or whatever, and she's, pretty. So there's a lot of things that are thrown out, right? But she looks different than a lot of people in WNBA, but she has literally driven so many eyeballs to the game. Like they ain't flying commercial, they're flying charter. They're going to make more money. They're playing on ESPN consistently. People are actually talking about it. Now they talk about it through the vein of Caitlin Clark. You're never going to hear a topic on ESPN discussed that doesn't involve Caitlin Clark somehow, most likely. But she's still put eyeballs on the game. She has grown the game. I would be happy to see that person come in. I wouldn't necessarily have the jealousy there because she has done so much for the sport in 1 year. So why do you think, Grant, that people get after her for being the Great White Hope?
Well, so I was actually out in Washington, D.C., just, touching the city, and I saw someone in a Caitlin Clark jersey. And I thought it was cool because when would you see that in the past? And it was a sign that the game is really growing, and we can read it. It's one thing to see the numbers and see that they average this many concurrent viewers, but to just actually gauge the people and see, oh, there's a Caitlin Clark jersey just walking up and down the street, a person in a jersey. It's a sign that no, the growth is actually here. Does the league hate Caitlin Clark? That's a different conversation. Really, we're just talking about this because of the feud between her and Angel Reese. I think the better question is, does Angel Reese hate Caitlin Clark? Why does Angel Reese hate Caitlin Clark? And that's when we get into all the race stuff and the women's stuff. And here's what I'll say. This is not, to me, at least, this is my opinion on it. This is not an Angel Reese hates white people, Caitlin Clark hates black people thing. It has nothing to do with that. It is two peers, two contemporaries who competed against each other in college for a national championship, two people who have, a mutual disdain for one another. But it is one white girl who does not get along with one black girl. I have white people in my life I don't get along with. I have black people in my life I don't get along with. I have Asian people in my life that I don't get along with. It doesn't matter who they are. And that's amplified when you are a professional athlete competing at the highest level for, in the past hundreds of thousands, now because of Caitlin Clark, millions of dollars. So all of that nonsense about the race part of it, I just don't buy into any of it. I think it is just two people who don't like each other, have competed against each other for years, and anytime they come across each other, Angel Reese is going to shove Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's going to shove Angel Reese. That's just a part of the game. It's part of being a professional athlete.
It makes sense that there's a jealousy there with Angel Reese towards Caitlin Clark. Obviously it does, because when you look at what Angel Reese, you need the villain to the story. You do. She is part of the story. They're going to make a 30 for 30 on this in 30 years, and it's going to be really good because you need that villain side to the Caitlin Clark side to elevate her. But if you look at Angel Reese, she had a great career in college. She was one of the top picks. She's doing well in the WNBA, but everyone's still talking about Caitlin Clark. But you just need that rivalry there. So it would make sense that there's some jealousy on Angel Reese's side compared to Caitlin Clark. I also think Caitlin Clark comes into the league, and I don't know why she was the chosen one. She's not big on social. She doesn't even post on her own social medias. She just splashed threes like Steph. That was kind of what elevated her game. But it's just weird that she was the chosen one out of how many people could have been the chosen one. And I think people don't like that she came to the league year one. And we saw it with Taurasi and stuff, just how rude they were to her. It's a straight white girl. That's a big difference for the league. And people bring that up. It's just something different than what is usually in the WNBA getting the attention for the league.
So I do want to say, if this Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark power dynamic rivalry is going to have some staying power, if this is something we're going to talk about 5 years from now, Angel Reese needs to get better at basketball. And I'm not trying to diminish her career or her ability or anything like that, but facts are facts. And this is honestly my biggest problem with this entire situation. Women rightfully have campaigned for equal treatment in sports. Now, that I'm not saying that they deserve the same. I'm not saying they deserve to make $70 million like Jason Tatum or Luka, because at the end of the day, it's a financial game. It comes down to how many people are in seats, how many jerseys do you sell, what's the media rights deal, all of that. But it is fair to say the women's game was behind the men's game. I am not saying any of this to hold them back. It's the total opposite. I get frustrated because people in the WNBA and just professional female athletes say they want this equal treatment. Do you understand? And I'm talking to the athletes here. Do you guys understand how much LeBron James is criticized? How much Luka Doncic is criticized? Any of these players. So when we say Angel Reese needs to get better at basketball, it's not because she's a woman. It's not because she's black. It's because she is a big man, big woman, who shot 39% from the field last year. And in game of this one, she shot 35%. Those are numbers that would get you tossed out of the league in a heartbeat. Now, she makes up for it because she is a great rebounder. And let's be honest, her status definitely elevates her a little bit. But if she's going to continue this Caitlin Clark rivalry, then she's got to get better. We're going to be looking at this one day like how we looked at the Pat Beverly Russell Westbrook beef, which was really Pat Bev dove into his knee. I think Westbrook tore his ACL or broke his knee or something. And at the end of the day, Pat Bev was putting up 4 points a game, and he was just getting in Westbrook's face, yelling at him every time, while Westbrook was averaging a 30-point triple-double. That's what this is going to become if Angel Reese doesn't get better.
Well, it becomes a hate crime, I think, when you criticize WNBA players. It really does. Like, it becomes a hate crime. But like, because it's just not what they've done on ESPN. They still don't do it. Like, Angel Reese gets criticized because it's in tandem with Caitlin Clark. Again, if you don't have Caitlin Clark, there is no Angel Reese. There's still a Caitlin Clark without Angel Reese, but there's no Angel Reese without Caitlin Clark, even though she helps elevate that side of the game. But yeah, she sucks at, like, she's not a great basketball player. Like, I don't like, she's good. She's better. Like,
just fundamentally, like the whole layup thing, it's a meme online. She literally does not know how to shoot layups. She shoots layups from her hip. Like, I can't figure it out. It's something that they teach you. It's probably the first thing you learn in basketball. After you learn how to dribble, you learn how to shoot a layup. And it's things like that if she, and I'm not trying to say she doesn't care about basketball, but I don't think she has this relentless work ethic, because forget shooting threes, shooting free throws. The fact that you don't know how to shoot a layup and you're a second-year professional player, it's like, what are you working on in the summer?
Well, yeah. And again, we see it with women's college basketball. There are less talented athletes playing. If only 8 teams can win the women's March Madness now, and that's up from 4 teams in years past and 2 teams sometimes in years past. The WNBA talent is not going to be as good as the NBA. Like, to be an NBA player, like, the NBA pool is a lot sharper than the WNBA pool. That's just the way it is. And I know there's less teams in the WNBA because of all that, but Angel Reese would not be surviving in the men's game. Like, if you took that equivalent of a player, like, I saw another tweet. It was like, her shooting percentage is worse than Jonte Porter, and he was trying to miss.
Yeah,
like, she got to get better too, because eventually, I think the Caitlin Clark narrative is going to wear out. Like, eventually, people are going to stop caring if nobody comes in to elevate the league, because you turn on a WNBA game, it's not pretty. Like, and that's not disrespectful. It's an ugly product.
And before that happens, the Angel Reese Caitlin Clark dynamic's going to wear off too, because she pushed her again. I've seen that before.
Well, yeah, she pushed. If Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever put belt to ass against the Chicago Sky a couple more times this season, nobody's going to care about that game anymore, because it's not a rivalry, because it's just one team dominating the other. And that's probably what it's going to be. And then you look like, for example, like take Tom Brady, call Caitlin Clark the Tom Brady, the WNBA. Like, Tom Brady had consistent rivalries. And I know people care more about football, but there was consistent storylines to talk about. Caitlin Clark can make her threes. She's an awesome shooter, obviously. And her rivalry story is Angel Reese. When it comes to the WNBA, we still don't talk about Caitlin Clark that much unless she sets a record or is facing Angel Reese. Like, it's not like we're talking about her on a nightly basis when she's playing the Connecticut Sun.
No, and the league, or the talent in the WNBA, is definitely going up. I don't want that to be lost. Like you said, the list of potential March Madness champions has gone from 2 to 4 to 8, and that talent is matriculating into the WNBA. But the WNBA does still have problems. I mean, players will get drafted and then not signed contracts in the league. There's not enough teams to accommodate everybody, but then at the same time, there's not enough talent on those teams to make expansion worthy. There just needs to be another 5, 10, 15 years of talent filling the rosters. Like you said, there are great players in the WNBA right now, but there aren't standalone sell ticket sort of players in the way that there is Caitlin Clark. Like in the NBA, if there was a bunch of Scotty Barneses and Franz Wagner's and Naz Reeds, it's like, okay, great, good players, very good players. If I turn them on the game and I see them, I would enjoy watching them play. But am I going to want to hear them in that A news block? Am I going to want to purchase a ticket to go see them? No, not quite. So I'm not trying to diss anybody. There are great players like Asia Wilson is fantastic. Brianna Stewart is fantastic. Sabrina Ionescu, great players. But like you said, you need your LeBrons, your Stephs, your KDs, your Giannis's, your Jokic's, your Lukas. You need people to dominate the headlines. And that's what Caitlin Clark is. And hopefully more of them come down along the lines.
Yeah. Now, here's my issue with this whole situation now that's come out. Angel Reese gets her ass kicked. Racist comments come from the stands. And then now the Indiana Fever's investigating it.
Did you hear the soundtrack that was played, by the way?
The dolphin.
It wasn't actually a dolphin. It was a YouTuber and streamer who sounds like a dolphin when he laughs. But people were saying it was monkey noises. And no, it was just a dude laughing.
Did they play that at the arena?
I don't know if they did. You can hear it in the broadcast. Now, I would have a hard time assuming that the actual arena people played it, but I don't know. Bottom line, it was not a monkey like it was.
It was a dolphin. Now, again, I've never been in the arena of a professional sporting event on the court, on the field. But do you know how much racist shit gets said at some of these male athletes? And we don't hear a lick about it. Like LeBron, there's the interview, like, I hate Boston. Like, Boston's so racist. Like, I hate playing in Boston. Or
Jaylen Brown said it too.
but that's not the point. That's not the point.
Oh, yeah.
When you go on the road to play a team, you are going to get things said to you, whether it's racist, whether it's like that's the fun part about going on the road.
Westbrook had that thing with the Utah Jazz fan who said something about his kids.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's not just it's racist. They're going to say stuff about your family. They're going to talk about your wife. They're going to say that's just what sports are, and that's why teams. That's why it's so fun. I think when you see teams go on the road and win games, because fans are there to try to get in your head. Now, there's some things that are off limits, like, like the dude from Boston, the dude in Cleveland told Jaren Duran, like, should have killed yourself. That storyline that came out after the Netflix documentary. But, like, people are going to say things to get in your head. If this was a men's basketball game, we would have never heard that, the fans in Indiana were being racist. But in the WNBA, it becomes a massive storyline. Like, that's another thing that's holding the league back. Because if you want equal rights, you got to get treated like the men do.
And obviously, we don't condone any people crossing the line, but we're just saying it is a byproduct of being in a professional sports arena. It's unfortunate. These things should not happen, but they do. And like you said, they happen so much and so commonly in the men's game that we don't really hear about them. If a fan gets banned because they're caught by arena security, good. That's what should happen. But it's not a news storyline on one of these big sports talk shows. We wouldn't even consider it.
No, but they need something to talk about too, involving Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark drama. Like, it goes back to high school. I mean, damn, like we used to look up who people were dating on the other teams and stuff, and like, shout that stuff at them. Like, we used to really get.
We did the same thing too. Find their Instagram, and like we would just shout random things at them. Like, I remember one time we were looking up like this person where they went on vacation because they posted a picture on Instagram from last summer, and we're just saying, "Hey, how was your trip to whatever?" And it's like something totally random, but it's just they're at the free throw line. They hear that, they're thinking like, "How does this person know where I was 2 years ago?"
Yeah, be like, "Hey, Paul, Ashley was really fun to hang out with last night." That kind of shit. But that's what makes sports fun too. Like the app. Why is it so cool to watch a team go on the road and win a game? Because they got to work through that kind of stuff. that like, it's tough to win on the road. That's the reason. If there was no home court advantage, I'm not saying shout racist things at the athletes, but people do it. Like, and you wouldn't even hear about it if it was a men's game. So I just don't like, again, that becoming a major storyline is a problem with the WNBA media coverage. But also, you can't really talk about the game because nobody cares about the game outside of Caitlin Clark right now. And that's the league's job to figure out a way to get better talent. Like Paige Becker's come to league. It's crazy to think about this. Nobody cares. I haven't seen any talk of Paige Becker.
And she had a great game to start her career.
Nobody
or no, second game.
Nobody cares outside of the late night sports center,
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. I don't have a whole lot else to add here.
Ryan Clark, Robert Griffin.
Oh yeah, sure. Let's go there.
Robert Griffin came out and said Angel Reese doesn't like, you can see there's like hate in Angel Reese to Caitlin Clark's eyes. And then Ryan Clark's like, well, you married to a white girl, so you have no right to speak and talk about what black women go through. I'm going to side with RG3 here, honestly. Like, I know he's dating, as who Jason Whitlock said, whole milk, I believe.
He's married to a white woman, and he's also divorced from another white woman.
All right. Well, again, there's a lot of black athletes married to white women, but I don't think that takes away their ability to speak on a black woman.
No, I don't judge somebody's ability to speak on matters by something like that. I think it's more about who the person is. If RG3 was if he was wearing a dashiki and spent his summers in the middle of Africa and was preaching black culture all the time and he had a white wife, then like I can understand that might look a little weird, but I would still give him credit enough to speak on that stuff. And then if he was, appearing on all white alt-right talk shows and discussing, how black people are not set back culturally, then I would say, okay, I'm not going to listen to him here. My point being, like, I would give RG3 the platform, and then I would judge him by the things he's done. Now, here's what I will say about RG3. He has been, as a Washington fan, I know this, his teammates did not like him. At least that's the report. His teammates did not like him. He was seen as a very self-centered guy. Stephen A. Smith said something to that effect on his podcast recently because RG3 was complaining about how he should have never been fired from ESPN. And I can say I've had RG3 muted on Twitter for years because I think he purposefully tries to say the wrong thing. And I think he tries to get reactions out of everybody. And I find it very corny and annoying. So I don't know what he was trying to do here. But I'll be honest, I side with him in that I think Angel Reese does have some sort of hatred towards Caitlin Clark. Now, I think that hatred is also amplified by the hate that she has received as a result of this beef. But I think she dislikes Caitlin Clark. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say.
No. Shout out RG3. I will side with RG3.
I'm not shouting him out, but yes.
I'm shouting out RG3. Shout out RG3. And you know what? His wife is she's white. So what? Like, it doesn't impact his. I think anyone can talk on anything. You don't have to listen to him. Like Ryan Clark doesn't have to come out and make a stand. Like, in a way, Grant, like Ryan Clark is taking advantage of Robert Griffin to get a bigger pop on his show too.
Oh yeah, but that's the media game. That's what everybody's doing.
Yep. Sophie Cunningham. We got big lineup of WNBA athletes coming up today. So Sophie Cunningham, if you don't know who Sophie Cunningham, she is one of the blondes for the
one of the blondes.
Well, there's two of them. Well, by the way, Lexi Hall, terrible. She is horrendous at basketball. 2-3 years ago, when she got in the league, she was like, I don't know, she was rotating in. I don't think she even plays now. I could be wrong about that. But she was rotating in. She had a chance to knock down a shot for like plus 720 against the Connecticut Sun to win the game. She missed it. They were like a 17-point dog, and she missed the shot. Corner three, easiest shot in the book. She missed it. So, yeah, Sophie Cunningham, you probably know Sophie Cunningham because she is a very attractive woman, and she also plays with Caitlin Clark now. So there's this rumor going around, not rumor, it was mentioned in a lawsuit from a former Suns employee that she had sexual relations with the Suns CEO, and his name is...
It's the CEO of the Suns and the Mercury, right?
Yeah, and he's heavily involved in basketball decisions for both sides, and he was also married. So But now it's just not a good look that she got traded. If she didn't get traded, I'd say maybe it's a little BS. It's only one line in the lawsuit. It still could be BS. But since she was traded, that does not look good. And you also traded her 4-team trade, complicated up, send her to Indiana where everyone's going to be talking about Caitlin Clark and not her. Like even right now, it's still not, I don't think it's popping too much because of that. So just interesting situation. So Grant, what do you think? Did she have sexual relations with the Sun CEO?
Well, first things first, a 4-team trade in a 13-team league is crazy. That's like 30% of the league involved in one trade.
Josh Bartlestein, that's his name.
Okay, Josh Bartlestein. Yeah, it's a lawsuit, and not diminishing it in any case. There's a lot of heavy stuff in there about racism and all this other stuff. So it's an important matter and one that will be looked into. Right now, we don't know. That's all it is. And sometimes people's perspectives, and I haven't dove into the lawsuit, but I don't know if they say I directly witnessed it. I'm confident it was happening. I put these pieces together, and this is how I came away with this conclusion. Point is, more will be revealed over time. Like you said, the worst part about all of this is the optics, because whenever there's a lawsuit, people who are involved and in positions of power usually know that it's coming. And so the fact that she was traded this offseason, like right before this lawsuit comes out, it's like, okay, doesn't look great for her. And doesn't look great for him, really. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much blame you want to put at her feet. He's the guy who messed up in this situation. She was just kind of participating, but we'll see what happens, I guess. That's all I got to say.
I believe that the judge scrapped that line from the lawsuit because it was only one line. So I don't think it's actually in the lawsuit, but maybe it is. I'm not exactly sure. I was doing some homework last night on the situation because it's very interesting, all this news coming out of the W.
You're a big Sophie Cunningham fan.
I was, and then
not anymore. She betrayed your ethics.
I found out that she's not as pure as she might have been. So I did like Sophie. You know what though? I didn't know who Sophie Cunningham was till this year, honestly. So I ain't gonna lie. I did know who Lexi Hull was and Sarah Hull.
Because she didn't cash your bet.
Yeah, I knew who she was. I know who's the South Carolina girl on Indiana.
Aaliyah Boston.
She was. I remember watching her in person. She was so tired. She was gassed. She could not get up and down the floor, but she's good. Yeah. So that's Sophie Cunningham news. So, anyways, that's 27 minutes on the W. We're spreading the love a little bit, and we are ready for some NBA talk. So, Grant, why don't you kick us off here with the NBA talk?
Should we start with the game that's tonight, the series that starts tonight, Timberwolves Thunder?
Yes.
So I guess my biggest thing, first of all, again, the NBA schedule makers, what are we doing here? The Timberwolves have been off since last Wednesday. The Thunder played a game 7 on Sunday. So it's already, I don't want to say unfair, because the advantage of winning a series quick is you get more rest, but it's already different. There's already a clear mismatch in rest. And then the Eastern Conference teams have been done for a minimum a few days. The Pacers 1-5, the Knicks 1-6, and those series started, I want to say, before these series in the West. So it just makes all the sense in the world to make the Eastern Conference match up the first one, yet we got the West first. So I don't know what the NBA is doing on that front. Now, I will say, this is my big thing. And again, I wrote the preview for this game on WSN.com if you want to check it out. Here's my biggest concern. I guess concern if I'm a Timberwolves fan, and maybe hope if I'm a Thunder fan. Yes, you only got one day of rest if you're the Thunder. You're the youngest team in the NBA. You would be the youngest team to win an NBA championship. So when you're younger, you have more energy, takes less time for you to bounce back. And you can't get more of a momentous win than a game 7 against the best player in the world at home that you win by 32 points. It's like, this is the same thing I said about the Denver Nuggets when they beat the Clippers in game 7. And I bet them to win game 1 against the Thunder, because I was like, this is how much momentum. Look at how much momentum they have right now. This is the best they're feeling about themselves this entire year. I can make that same case for the Thunder. And then with the Timberwolves, what happened after the first round? They won in 5 games, just like they did against the Warriors. They then get 6-7 days off, come out in game 1, and they shoot 39% from the field, 15% from three. They looked awful in game one. Goes back to that whole debate we have about rest versus rust. The Timberwolves did not look good in the first game of that series. Who's to say that same exact thing isn't going to happen here? They haven't played in 6 days. They're about to play the best defense in the NBA. Probably going to be a little bit rusty, just as history has shown us. So all of those, or not all of those, because it's only a couple, but those reasons make me lean Thunder here.
I'm going to lean towards Timberwolves. I think they had that little wake-up call in game one to Golden State. Like, they didn't come out. They didn't play hard. This is a series where you got to come out and you got to set the tone right away. I do believe Anthony Edwards will be ready for the series. I think Jalen Williams obviously was great in game 7. He was inconsistent throughout that series. Is he going to be great here? We will see. But I think the Timberwolves are ready for the series. I think they're up for the challenge. I think they have the experience. And again, I wanted to face Denver if I was a Timberwolves fan because I think they match up better. But I do think these teams played close games in the regular season. Minnesota was 3-1 to this line. The other one they lost was by 8 points, and they still have Anthony Edwards. And like, say what you want about Anthony Edwards, he doesn't want to be the face of the league, whatever. Like, he's a gamer. He's going to rise to the occasion. He's got a chance to put SGA in his place, and I think he's going to do that. By the way, SGA has not done anything in this league, and we talk about him like he's God.
Did you see the tweet going around that said he's 2 good series away from being a top 15 player ever?
That's not wrong. I mean, hell, we talk about SGA, the free throw merchant, like he's the greatest thing ever. And was his first Western Conference Finals. I remember when Jason Tatum did that.
When he made the Western Conference Finals?
Oh, the conference finals for the first time. It didn't take him 15 years into his career to get it done. It's
Like,
because he's from Canada. It's because he's from Canada.
I agree that some of the SGA discourse is a little ahead of where it should be, but he's been phenomenal so far. And free throw merchant stuff, it was fun for a while. He's kind of proven that's not the case in these playoffs. And I want to give the guy credit because he was sensational in the back half of that series. And that was a moment where he could have folded. The Thunder were they're the most dominant team in NBA history, according to point differential. They were down 2-1. They'd blown home court advantage. And they responded, and they won a game 7 in convincing fashion. He had 35 points. So I want to give him credit. I agree with what you said about Anthony Edwards being a gamer. I don't think there's anything to doubt there. However, I do want to just look back at the regular season because I found this very interesting. The teams split their regular season series 2-2. Like you said, Minnesota's 3-1 against the spread. During those 4 games, Shea averaged 35. Jalen Williams averaged 19. Chet averaged 15. It's like, okay, that's exactly what I expected to be. Here's an interesting nugget for the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards averaged 22 points, so that was low. Naz Reid averaged 22 and a half. Jaden McDaniels averaged 18. Nickeil Alexander-Walker averaged 15. And Terrence Shannon Jr. averaged 12 and a half. And I believe they only had Julius Randle for one of those games. So it's an interesting situation where they did such a great job of taking away the Timberwolves' best player and their biggest asset. But weirdly, the Thunder, who have this amazing defensive personnel, they didn't do a good job of just winning the easy matchups. Now, was that because they were showing so much attention to Ant? And does the complexion of that change with Julius Randle back in the lineup and the way he's been playing? A lot of questions still to be answered. But that's definitely something I'm going to be keeping my eye on. How do they approach defending Ant versus his teammates?
I think this series comes down to Julius Randle. I
fully agree.
Yeah, I think if we get Julius Randle playing at a high level, it really does set Minnesota up well to be competitive here. If he doesn't play well, because I do think there's going to be a severe focus on Anthony Edwards, I think it's probably over in 6 games, potentially even 5, honestly. But Minnesota stacks up well enough to beat them if Julius Randle can perform. Obviously, you have Gobert. Like, you have a really physical defense, and you have a team that plays hard. Like, the Thunder play hard, but the Timberwolves are going to match that. They ain't going to fold. So I think there's opportunities here for them to win games, but they got to be great in the fourth quarter. Like, you saw that with Denver. Denver was great at times in the fourth quarter. They also weren't. Like, they coughed up games late too. With the Thunder, we've seen it so many times. They fall from behind. If you watch game 7 against Denver, it looked like the Nuggets were going to have a really good performance early on. And then, they go on the run in the second quarter and it's over. So you got to limit the runs. And if they do that, and I think a way to do that is by playing hard, it sets up Minnesota well to be competitive here.
Yeah, even though I'm taking the Thunder to win and cover in game one, I'm with you that this can be a very close series and it can be one that Minnesota wins. Looking at some advanced numbers in the playoffs, the Thunder are first in defensive rating, Timberwolves are second. Thunder fourth in offense, Timberwolves are fifth. Minnesota has the best rebound rate of all remaining teams, so that's an advantage there. And you saw the Nuggets find a lot of success on the offensive glass. One of the biggest things also that I'm going to be looking at here is Minnesota did a great job protecting the ball in the first round. Anthony Edwards, probably the best he's ever been. He averaged like 6.5 assists, 1.2 turnovers. He was awesome. In the second round, 1 out of 5 offensive possessions for the Timberwolves ended in a turnover. That was it's atrocious. It was by far the worst in the second round of the playoffs. It would have been the worst of any team in the regular season. It was awful. And what we know about the Thunder is they're going to force a ton of turnovers. They led the league in regular season and playoff points per game off of turnovers. So ball security for Minnesota. How's that going to hold up? The Julius Randle piece you mentioned. They can double Anthony Edwards. They know that's something that they can throw out there. Are they going to have to double or at least give help to Julius Randle? Is Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren, Lou Dort, whoever it is that's guarding him, can they play him well enough to the point that they only have to have one guy on him? Or do they have to put that second guy in his direction? Because when that happens, that opens up the driving lanes and the kickouts for all the other Timberwolves players. I know this is really getting into the weeds here, but if we have Julius Randle on the block over here and he's got 2 guys sliding over to him, that's going to open up the cuts for the other players. And Minnesota during the regular season averaged the second most drives per game. So if you do give Julius Randle that extra defender, you're going to give them exactly what they want on offense. So in so many ways, like you said, this series is going to boil down to Julius Randle because I know what Anthony Edwards is going to do for the most part.
Yeah, definitely. So what is your pick, Grant?
I'm going to take the Thunder in 6 games. I think we could see this start at 2-2 and then the Thunder win the final 2 games to close it out. I totally see a world in which this goes 7. I see a world in which the Timberwolves win. I think the Timberwolves can evenly match the Thunder. I don't know that they will. With the Thunder, I'm more confident they will play to their level than the Timberwolves are.
I agree with that. I think if the Timberwolves show up and play their game, I think they can win the series in 7 games. But I have more belief that the Thunder are going to get it done. I will take the Thunder in 6 games. But I want the Timberwolves in 7.
So this reminds me of something that I think it was the 2017, no, it would have been 2018 finals, the year when the Warriors swept the Cavs. Was it 17 or 18? I think it was 18. But I remembered something that stuck with me because I thought, that's a really good way to put at it. Everybody who was picking the Warriors, and that was the KD Warriors, everyone who was picking them to win said Warriors in 4, Warriors in 5. Everybody who picked the Cavs said Cavs in 7. And it's like, I can see the Thunder winning this realistically in 5 games. I can't see the Timberwolves doing that. 6, maybe. If they're going to win, it's probably going to be in 7. So it's a different representation of how you discuss ceiling and floor, but it's something that's easy to think about. Can the Thunder blow out the Timberwolves? Yes. Can the Timberwolves blow out the Thunder? Probably not. So I'll take the Thunder.
Pacers, Knicks. Knicks fans, bunch of a-holes picking on firefighters. You see that?
Yeah,
ridiculous. Tyrese Halliburton, just genuinely good dude. Like that's one of my new favorite players now. Actually, I just decided that yesterday.
Really? I understand why you would say that, but I thought you might find him like a little corny, a little front runnery.
He is, but like also too, I don't like the Knicks. I think the Knicks team is likable. The Knicks fan base is not likable at all. The Knicks fan base is celebrating like they won a championship. And I know they had a big win over the Boston Celtics, who have ruined New York sports. Like every Boston franchise has ruined New York sports for years. Like truthfully,
Eli.
That's the only one though, but they can't come together for that. They can't come together. It's still though, the Giants got their titles. The Patriots have abused the Jets. Eli did beat the Patriots, but the Patriots have abused the Jets. The Patriots also have all these rings. Boston's the city of champions. The Red Sox, dating back to the 3-0 comeback in 2004, has just destroyed the Yankees. Red Sox have more World Series in this era. You have the Boston Celtics, who, a couple championships. The Knicks have no championships. No championships. And then hockey, again, I don't follow hockey. I think the Bruins have done a lot more than the Rangers have. That's just my opinion, and I believe it's true because they have won a championship. So, I think it's just Boston abusing New York fans. Like, eventually, it's like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. Like, the underdogs got to get their licks in a little bit. So I appreciate Knicks fans for, being happy about their team winning. But like, you will not see many cities where they will like literally abuse fans wearing different jerseys. It just does not happen in a lot of places.
No, it doesn't. Knicks, Yankees, Eagles.
Yeah.
It's a short list.
Like, Boston does not do that. Like, I truly,
Boston fans are still a-holes,
but they don't do, like, you could have had somebody out there in that. They're not going to be like throwing trash at the man and like just swarming him.
Can I stick up for Knicks fans here?
What?
It's Knicks versus Celtics in New York City. If you go out wearing a Pacers jersey,
100%.
Like, what do you expect to happen?
No, 100. And it worked out for him because he's going to be at game 4 because thanks to Tyrese Halliburton. But like, if you do that, you're asking for it. Yes, you're asking for it 100%. But like, still, you should be able to like go out and not get trash thrown at you. And like, they just all saw it was like a pack of hyenas in the wild swarming a bruised gazelle.
I saw someone on Twitter say that New Yorkers have a bag of trash with them like they equip GTA equipment. Like, just press a button and they got a trash can to throw at somebody.
It's pretty messed up. But okay, I think the Pacers are better than the Knicks. I think the Knicks are acting like they're back. The Pacers have been to the Eastern Conference Finals before. This is not like new to them. They will not flinch in the moment. Tyrese Halliburton's very good, but I think the Pacers just offensively, I think they're going to run the floor a little too much for the New York Knicks here and win this series. And I think they're going to do it in 6 games at home.
Yeah, so the running the floor bit's actually a really good one. It's where I was going to start too. The Knicks are incredibly well conditioned. That's one of the advantages. If you can stay healthy, then playing all these minutes, it's going to pay off later because you're going to be in better shape than everybody. The problem is, I don't care who it is, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, and Josh Hart playing 45 minutes per night versus Obi Toppin getting 20 off the bench, McConnell getting 20, and some of these other, Benedict Mathurin getting 30. The Pacers are still going to be fresher. Now, is OG Anunoby a better player than Benedict Mathurin? Sure, and that comes into all of it. But the Pacers are going to be able to come at them in waves the way that even the Celtics kind of couldn't. And that's partially because the Celtics just could not get their offense going more times than not. But if you look back at what the Thunder were able to do, the Nuggets, that's how they won this series. Like, if the first wave didn't make the difference, then here came the second wave with Case and Wallace and Alex Caruso, and they continue to wear them down. So that's what Indiana has going in their advantage. Indy also has just been outrageously good shooting the ball in these playoffs. Let me see if I still have this up in front of me. Yeah, so in the playoffs so far, if we're looking at true shooting percentages, which is really the best indication, the Knicks are, of 16 teams, 12th. They're at 54.7%. I'm just going to read you off numbers. Forget about the teams. It's not important. But you got 50, 52, 54, 54, 54, 54, 55, 55, 56, 56, 56, 57, 57, 58. Then you got the Pacers at 62. Like, they're doing such a good job of getting to everything they want to. They're driving well. They're not playing hero ball. The ball is popping everywhere. And you can see that in their points totals, which I've mentioned a couple times on this show before, but everybody in their starting 5 is averaging between 14 and 18 points. They're sharing the load. You would like it at some point if somebody could start averaging 25, because Brunson's going to get his, Cat's going to get his. You're going to need somebody to pop off. But if they can just continue to get to efficient offense the way they have, then the Knicks, you're reliant on Jalen Brunson and Cat being brilliant every night. And that's going to win you some games, but is it going to win you a series against an entire team that's shooting the ball well? Probably not.
The Knicks need to play a lot better than they did against the Boston Celtics. I know we've warped this Knicks upset over Boston into the Knicks are the best thing ever. But games 1 and game 2, if you do that against the Pacers, you will likely lose those games because you should have lost them probably against the Boston Celtics if they found some level of offense. So you can't play like you did in games 1 and 2. You get your doors blown off in game 3. Game 4, I thought that was the best game the Knicks played. I think game 6 was like the Celtics folded very quickly in that one. And it makes sense in the moment. In game 5, you get your doors blown off. You really didn't lead in that series as much as you needed to. If they play like they did against Boston, they will get beat by the Pacers.
Yep, I agree. One area that I'm really, one thing I'm going to keep my eye on, and I already put a bet down, so I'm putting this out there for everybody. Tanner, I texted it to you. I am betting on Karl-Anthony Towns to score the most points in this series at FanDuel and BetMGM. It's plus 600. At Bet365, it was plus 550. Here's an interesting thing. At DraftKings, it was plus 340. So I'm like, does DraftKings know something the others don't, or are they just being cheap? We'll find that out as time goes on. But the good thing about this is if Jalen Brunson's going to score the most points, then I feel like the Knicks have to win the series. I think Cat can score the most and the Knicks still lose, which kind of seems like where we're both going with this. Also, if they both hit, they could hedge against one another. If you bet Pacers and Cat to lead the series, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Cat during the regular season averaged 30 points and 12 rebounds on 57% shooting against the Pacers. The Pacers have just always been awful defending against a talented, large, big men. Like Giannis averaged 36 points. Embiid averaged 31. Jokic averaged 28. Şengün averaged 22. Sabonis averaged 19 and 14. Zubats averaged 17 and 14. And this is dating back over the last 3 seasons. So this is something that they have always struggled with. Cat during the regular season basically shot 70% on drives. And whether the Knicks are going to switch and put a smaller guy on him, then he's going to be able to get into the post. If they're going to play everybody straight up, well, Brunson's going to command so much attention off the pick and roll that you're going to have Miles Turner step up, and that's going to leave space for Cat. It's just a matchup that I see unfolding very well for him, regardless of if the Knicks or Pacers win the series.
Yep, I agree. I like that play out of Grant.
So game 1, are you going with Pacers spread then?
Yeah, Pacers plus 4.5. These games are going to be tight. I don't think there's going to be a lot of blowouts in the series, so I will gladly take the points.
Yeah, it kind of, the same thing we were saying before. I see a Pacers blowout as more likely than a Knicks blowout. Now, the one thing I have to give the Knicks is Jalen Brunson is the clutch player of the year, and we have seen him routinely pull the Knicks from the depths. So the Pacers could win if you added up the score of every game in the series, the Pacers could win that and the Knicks still win the series. But I see a 20-point Pacers win as more likely than a 20-point Knicks win.
Yeah, and also, too, going back to when Jalen Brunson took over in the fourth quarter, like the Celtics still allowed that. When the Pacers got leads on the Cavs, they put them away. That's the difference. So if you go down, if you're in clutch time and you got to fight to get back into clutch situations, I think the Pacers are good enough to not allow you to get back into those, at least throughout the course of a 7-game series, maybe one game. But if you don't keep up with them throughout the entire game, I don't know if they're going to have the same success getting into clutch situations coming back from double-digit deficits.
You want to hear one of the most ridiculous stats you'll ever hear?
What?
In the second round, when the Pacers were facing the Cavs, in clutch time of that series, the Pacers had a net rating of plus 128. So to put that in perspective, this is just in that one series. The Pacers, in the biggest moments, were 5 times better than the Thunder, and the Cavs were 5 times worse than the Wizards, just to illustrate the differences there.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah, so the Pacers can close the deal, and don't forget, Game 2, they came back. Game 5, they came back. They're not front runners. They can battle back from behind just like the Knicks can.
Yep. All right, Grant. Well, what's your prediction?
I'm going to go, okay, so I'm going Thunder in 6, and I'll do Pacers in 6.
Yep, me too. Thunder in 6. Pacers in 6. Pacers versus Thunder in probably the most unwatched NBA Finals. of all time. And people will be getting ready for baseball because nobody cares about the Thunder and the Pacers.
Don't do that. Don't put my
That's
beautiful
true.
game down.
That's true, though. Like that, no one's gonna watch this finals. Come on.
It's sad too, because like that would be such a fun basketball series, but you're totally right. It would probably be some of the lowest ratings ever.
I mean, OKC is not a big market. Indiana, I guess, is a big basketball
No,
market.
it's not. It's tiny.
Yeah, but people do care about it there, I'll say.
Let me see. Let me see what the NBA market size. Where do we got them? So Indiana's 22nd and OKC is 26th.
All right. So like, yeah, nobody cares. Like, I'll tell you what, I don't care after the Western Conference Finals. I really don't. I don't think I would care if it was New York versus OKC. Like, because I just think OKC, if they get there, they're gonna put belt to ass.
I mean, yeah, it's like the longer you leave them around, the bigger threat they are, because the inexperienced mistakes you were expecting to happen, they haven't happened, so they're probably not going to.
Like New York, LA, like even having Anthony Edwards in, I would be more interested if he got from the West. I just don't like SGA doesn't do it for me. Like, I'm sorry.
Now the NBA wants Minnesota and New York.
Minnesota, New York would be a much better series. That would be more entertaining for sure. I do
and
too.
We have both of them losing.
I want that. Like, I don't know. It's New York and go after themselves. I'll take Minnesota and Indiana. That's fine. But that's I think Minnesota, Indiana is a more, maybe not more boring. Anthony Edwards is still entertaining. So I don't know. It's nobody cares really after this.
Well, go to WSN.com, check out all the game previews. I will be there. The rest of the team will be there. We'll be breaking down every game, and hit that subscribe button because Tanner and I are going to be breaking down the playoffs as they go.
Yep. Smash that subscribe button. We'll see you next time for another episode of Ride the Line.